Hello, my wonderful English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Learn. I'm Eva, and sitting right here with me is my amazing co-host, Mark. Mark, how are you feeling today?
Hey, Eva, I'm doing great. But you know what? Just this morning, I was talking to my neighbor in English, and something really embarrassing happened. She asked me a normal question, something about the weather, and my mind just went completely blank. I stood there like a statue, not knowing what to say.
Oh no, that's the worst feeling, isn't it? You know the words, you've studied English for years, but suddenly your brain stops working when someone speaks to you in real life?
Exactly. And the funny thing is, 10 minutes later, when I was alone, I thought of 5 perfect answers I could have given her, but it was too late.
This happens to so many English learners, Mark. And today, we're going to fix this problem forever. We're talking about something super important: how to stop your brain from freezing when you're speaking English in real conversations.
Yes, and we're not just going to talk about theory. We're going to give you real techniques, real sentences, and real practice that you can start using today.
That's right. So if you've ever felt nervous speaking English, if your mind goes blank when someone asks you a question, or if you wish you could just speak naturally without translating in your head, stay with us because this episode will change everything for you.
All right, Eva, let's start with the biggest problem. Why do our brains freeze when we need to speak English?
That's such an important question, Mark. You see, most English learners make one huge mistake. They try to build perfect English sentences in their minds before they speak. They're translating from their native language, choosing perfect grammar, picking the right vocabulary, and while all this is happening in their brain, the other person is waiting. The conversation moves forward, and the moment is gone.
So true. It's like you're trying to cook a 5-course meal when someone just wants a quick snack. You're doing too much work in your head.
Exactly. Let me give you a real life example. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and the person behind you says, "Excuse me, is this line for ordering?" Now, a simple answer would be, "Yes, it is," or "I think so." But what happens in an English learner's mind? They start thinking, should I say, "Yes, this is the line for ordering," or "Yes, you are correct. This queue is for placing orders." And while they're thinking, the other person has already moved on.
That's so relatable. So, what's the solution? How do we stop this from happening?
The solution is actually very simple. Stop trying to speak perfect English. Start speaking natural English. Let me say that again because it's really important. Stop trying to speak perfect English. Start speaking natural English.
What's the difference, Eva?
Perfect English means every sentence is grammatically correct. Every word is the best vocabulary choice. Every pronunciation is like a native speaker. Natural English means you communicate your idea clearly, even if it's simple, even if it's not perfect.
I love that. So, if someone asks me, what do you think about this movie? I don't need to say, in my personal opinion, I believe this cinematic experience was quite extraordinary. I can just say, I really liked it. The story was good.
Perfect example, Mark. And you know what? Native English speakers actually prefer simple, clear answers. They don't want you to sound like a dictionary. They just want to understand you and have a nice conversation.
Okay, so we should keep our English simple, but Eva, what about when our mind actually goes blank? What do we do in that moment?
Great question. This is where we need to learn something called buying time. When someone asks you a question and you need a few seconds to think, you can't just stand there in silence. That feels awkward. Instead, you use simple phrases that give your brain time to prepare an answer.
Can you give us some examples?
Of course. Let's say someone asks you, "What did you do last weekend?" And you need a moment to remember. Instead of silence, you can say, "Oh, last weekend? Let me think." Or you can say, "That's a good question." Or even, what did I do?" "Oh, yes, I remember now." These little phrases give you 3 or 4 extra seconds, and the other person doesn't feel uncomfortable.
That's brilliant. So while you're saying, that's a good question, your brain is actually searching for the answer.
Exactly. Let me give you more phrases you can use. If someone asks your opinion, you can start with, well, I think, or in my view, or from my experience. If someone asks about something you're not sure about, you can say, if I remember correctly, or as far as I know, or I'm not completely sure, but I think. All these phrases buy you time.
I'm going to practice these. Can we practice one right now?
Sure, I'll ask you a question and you use one of these time-buying phrases. Ready? Mark, what's your favorite restaurant in your city?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. I really like this small Italian place near my house. They make amazing pasta.
Perfect. You see how natural that sounded? You said that's a good question and let me think, and that gave you time to remember the restaurant. The conversation felt smooth and natural.
This is so helpful. But Eva, what if someone asks me something complicated? Something I don't know how to explain in English?
This is where we use another powerful technique, keeping your answers short and simple. Many English learners think they need to give long, detailed answers to sound fluent. But actually, native speakers often give very short answers in normal conversation.
Really? Can you show us what you mean?
Absolutely. Imagine someone asks you, how do you stay healthy? Now, you could try to give a long, complicated answer about your exercise routine, your diet plan, your sleep schedule, but a simple, natural answer would be, I try to exercise regularly and eat healthy food. Nothing special. That's it. Short, simple, clear.
So we don't need to impress people with long answers.
Not at all. In fact, in real English conversations, people appreciate short, clear answers much more than long, complicated ones. Think about it. When you ask someone a question in your own language, do you want them to talk for 5 minutes? No. You want a simple, clear answer.
That makes so much sense. Okay, let me practice. Eva, ask me another question.
Sure. Mark, what do you usually do after work?
I usually go home and relax. Sometimes I watch TV or read a book.
Perfect, Mark. That was simple, clear, and natural. You didn't try to use complicated vocabulary or long sentences. You just communicated your idea. That's exactly what we want.
I'm starting to understand. So the key is don't overthink, use simple English, and it's okay to buy time with simple phrases.
Exactly. And now I want to teach you one more super important technique. This one is going to help you so much in real conversations. It's called echoing.
Echoing? What does that mean?
Echoing means you repeat part of what the other person said before you give your answer. This does two things. It gives you time to think, and it shows the other person you're listening carefully.
Can you give us an example?
Of course. Let's say someone asks you, do you think online learning is effective? Instead of immediately answering, you can say, do I think online learning is effective? Well, I think it depends on the student. Some people learn better online, some prefer classroom learning. You see? By repeating the question, you bought yourself 3 or 4 seconds to organize your thoughts.
That's such a smart trick. So if someone asks me, what's your opinion on remote work? I can say, my opinion on remote work. I think it has both advantages and disadvantages.
Perfect, Mark. You're getting this. And the beautiful thing is, when you echo the question, it doesn't sound like you're hesitating or unsure. It sounds like you're being thoughtful and careful with your answer.
I love this. Okay, so we learned to use simple English, we've learned phrases to buy time, and we've learned echoing. What else can help us?
The last thing I want to teach you is something called having ready-made answers. This means preparing simple answers for common questions before you need them.
So like preparing for an exam?
Kind of, but much simpler. Think about the questions people ask all the time. How are you? What do you do? Where are you from? What are your hobbies? What did you do this weekend? These questions come up again and again in conversations. So instead of thinking of an answer every single time, you can have a simple, ready answer prepared in your mind.
Oh, that makes sense. So for what do you do, I can prepare the answer, I work in marketing at a tech company, and I don't need to think about it every time someone asks.
Exactly. And the same for hobbies. You can prepare, I like reading and playing guitar in my free time. Simple, clear, ready to use. When these common questions come up, your answer comes out automatically and you feel confident.
This is brilliant. So we're basically training our brain to have automatic responses for common situations.
That's exactly right. And you know what happens when you do this? Your brain becomes more comfortable speaking English. You start feeling less nervous. And when you feel less nervous, your mind doesn't freeze anymore.
This is so practical. I think many of our listeners are going to find this really helpful.
I hope so. Remember, speaking English fluently isn't about knowing every grammar rule or every vocabulary word. It's about being comfortable, being confident, and communicating clearly.
Mark, can we do some quick practice before we finish? I want our listeners to practice these techniques with us.
Great idea. All right, everyone. I'm going to ask Mark some questions, and Mark will use the techniques we just learned. Listen carefully and notice how he buys time, uses simple English, and echoes the question. Ready, Mark?
Ready.
Mark, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food? That's a good question. I really love biryani. It's a traditional dish from my country, and my mom makes it really well.
Excellent. You echoed the question and used "that's a good question" to buy time. Next one. Mark, what do you do when you're stressed?
When I'm stressed? Well, I usually listen to music or go for a walk. It helps me relax and clear my mind.
Perfect. Simple, clear, natural. One more. Mark, do you prefer working from home or working in an office?
Do I prefer working from home or in an office? I think both have benefits, but if I have to choose, I prefer working from home because I can manage my time better.
Wonderful. Did you hear that, everyone? Mark echoed the question, used to buy a little time, kept his answer short and simple, and communicated clearly. That's exactly what we want.
Wow, Eva, I feel so much more confident already. These techniques are simple, but they really work.
They do, Mark, and I want all our listeners to remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to communicate. Start using these simple phrases today. When someone asks you a question, echo it back. Buy yourself time. Keep your answers short and simple. Practice having ready-made answers for common questions.
And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Fluency comes with practice, not perfection.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to Daily English Learn today. We hope this episode helps you speak English with more confidence and less fear.
Don't forget to practice every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Every small step counts.
See you in the next episode, everyone. Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep growing.
Bye, everyone. Happy learning.